strange drumming. Good morning, everybody. This is Youngstown's Talk Channel. Joe and Kelin here.
Morning.
You get to hang with us for the next hour plus. How's everything going on your end?
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad. Can I just say, and I know you don't like chit chat or talking about the weather, but I'm so stoked about the weather this week. I mean, it's Northeast Ohio. How many times do you have sunshine 70s for a solid week?
Okay.
I'm thankful for that.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoy the Ohio weather.
I'm thankful that fall is right around the corner. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, you could have stopped at just, I enjoy the weather.
Spread
Congratulations.
enough joy this morning.
Yeah. Totally joyful. All right, let's get into the news stuff because I want to talk. This disturbed the shit out of me, and so it's worth talking about the North Carolina stabbing.
Yeah.
My social media was littered with the video footage of this going down.
I was just going to say that. Yes.
I am so pissed off about this. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And so give me your initial thoughts. Good morning, DJ.
So, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I can't go on social media, YouTube, anywhere without seeing clips. And I'm always like this. Like, oh, my God, are they going to show it? And for the most part, people are cutting out the actual stabbing, but they're like leading right up to it. They're showing what happened after it. And it's so disturbing. Okay,
so let's tell you, if you haven't seen it, I do not recommend that you watch it unless you want to be infuriated. If you need a chunk taken out of your soul, then watch it. So here's what happens. It's on a bus, and
is it a bus or is it like a subway?
They said light rail, but they've also referred to it as bus. So I'm gonna say it's probably a rail system, some kind of subway
it looks
car.
Kind of like an underground rail subway.
Anyway, so this young girl, 23 years old, she's getting off her shift at a pizzeria. She gets on the bus to head home, and a guy in a white hoodie, black guy in a red hoodie sitting right behind her, stands up, stabs her in the neck. She turns, looks at him confused. She puts her hand over her face and starts crying. There's 6 people on this bus that are indifferent what just happened. She slumps down, rolls onto the floor, bleeds out, and is dead. Nobody did anything on that. Nobody moved. Some took pictures or video footage of it. And that is the ending of a life senselessly by a freaking monster.
And then, have you seen the video of what the murderer did?
Oh, yeah.
So then he walks up to another one of the car areas or whatever to the front of the area. And he's dripping blood. Mm-hmm. You can see it in the camera. There's blood all over where he's walking. He goes over and he looks out this door. He takes his hoodie off. He goes and stands over here. And you see other passengers that probably weren't close by or saw what happened, but they're walking through. And nobody's like, oh, why is there what looks like blood splattered everywhere? Everyone is just so jaded that they're just their own little worlds of, I don't realize this guy's covered in blood, or there's a blood trail here, or what is this weird dude doing standing over here? It's just the most oblivious footage that I'm like, was everybody in shock? Or are we that jaded as a society that we're like, oh shit, I'm just going to stay here?
And he said, I got a white girl. I got a white girl.
He did?
Mm-hmm. That was what he was prancing around saying, is that he took out a white girl, stabbed her, an innocent girl, in the neck, and was so proud of it, and everyone else was so indifferent. This is infuriating, and everyone should be pissed off today.
Not only does the incident make you feel awful, but the fact that there is a large enough group of sickos in our country to be supporting this guy. There's a support group raising a GoFundMe to help him with legal matters, whatever, saying he's the victim here. And I'm like,
of course they do. The
group of weirdos.
Fortunately, the federal government took over the prosecution of this case, and I hope they fillet this guy in public and make him suffer and be an example of, you take innocent life with that just total disconnection from human empathy.
Yeah. And not only that, it's not like this was a one-time thing. It's not like some psycho had a psychotic break and did this. He was like, what, a 14-time lawbreaker or whatever they want to call him, criminal?
He went in front of a court. He went to jail a bunch of times, and they like kept releasing him on the streets. So there is this truth, this unspoken agreement that you will be governed by someone above you so long that you have trust and faith that will protect you from things that they don't want you taking into your own hands, right?
Yeah.
So if I ride a bus, I will trust everybody who is in charge of that bus to do everything in their power to deliver a product to me where they have my safety and the efficiency of that product in mind. The minute that the government not only is unconcerned about the safety of other people, but they are doing things that specifically increase the potential that your safety is put at risk with no consequence if they are derelict in what their sole obligation is to keep people safe. This is, and I hold culpable the entire institution that not only creates this racism, right, but allows these people to have the same freedoms that we do, allow them to go around as it's not that there was a little bit of evidence that this guy was a problem. There was a boatload of evidence that he was a problem.
Yeah.
So you ask, if you had somebody you cared about, if you would sit them on a subway, a bus, transportation that this inept government is in charge of, and trust that they're not going to, and trust that they're going to come home that
we're
night.
Not in danger.
For sure, right? And it's one thing when you talk about a murder happening and you see it in the headlines, we're desensitized to the fact that somebody lost their life. But when you see it go down, like it should make a connection in everybody's brains that could be you or someone you loved.
Do you see what Pam Bondi's saying now? So Pam Bondi spoke out, I guess, and was like, we're going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. He's going to be charged with this and this and this. It's not only murder, but it's on public transit, and that can be another charge.
And a hate crime.
And it's a hate crime. Do you think this guy deserves the death penalty?
Oh, for sure. No, I don't even want a quick death penalty. I want a filleting, I'm telling you.
That's my thing. Like, this is going to sound probably a little twisted, but when they say, oh, automatic death penalty, sometimes I'm like, that's too good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to die in a humane, comfortable way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. Anytime someone gets thrown in prison and the inmates have their way with them, I'm like, good. Like, same with the psychopath that murdered those college people. You know who I'm talking about? I don't know, Brian something. He's the one who brutally murdered the house full of college kids. He put in a request to move to a different unit because the other inmates are threatening to assault him, like sexually assault him or something. I'm like, good. Like, you're not there to be comfortable. You don't say, oh, you're uncomfortable. Oh, people are threatening you. Let's go ahead and move you. No, you brutally murdered someone. I don't care what happens to you in there.
So judge of the mob here right now, and the anger is going to make me say this. So here's what I'm going to have happen. I think all the race hustlers, they get life in prison. So anybody who incited race hatred is going to prison. Number 2, the judge who released this person 14 days, all of her family members are going to be put in an auditorium with this guy and a weapon. They get to sit in the theater and spend 24 hours with this guy. That's her punishment. And then he gets a public filleting, and a tortured, burned body is what I'm expecting. So that would be justice as far as I'm concerned.
Patricia says, this guy should have never been out walking around. Have you seen his record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what this whole angle on judges making these catch and release, cash bail bonds. Their job of the judge is to protect us, not to be kind and considerate to the soul that you're about to take their liberties from. When they deserve liberties to be taken, there's usually a really good reason for it.
Yeah, it's, do I think you are a risk to others? Not, oh, how bad did you mess up?
Right.
And can you be changed? And do you have the means to live with? No. This guy was arrested multiple times for armed robbery.
Yes, he's a danger.
Had a weapon pointed at another human being multiple times. And you don't think, I think you might be a danger to society. Like, at what point? That's another thing that bugs me is like, we've seen multiple instances where law enforcement's like, oh, well, here's a slap on the wrist and we let you go. Like, when does it become a big deal? When they actually kill someone? Is that then what actually takes them off the street? Like, how many strikes does someone get? What is the actual guideline or law of continuing to release people?
Well, the big problem is that the secularists and the Democrats have created so much lawlessness that you can't this isn't the minority, right? This isn't the lawbreakers or the, point fractional percentage of the population. There's just so many of them, and you let illegals in millions. Crime is so prevalent because if you wanted to engineer crime to be everywhere, you do what the Democrats have been pushing for, and be lenient. Don't incarcerate. Let more of them in there. I mean, you're basically advocating for lawlessness. So when it happens,
and continue to support victims and create victims.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying support victims as in actually supporting a victim. I mean, support someone in thinking they're a victim who is not.
Making a victim out of someone who's the perpetrator and giving them considerations they do not deserve. And these sort of the race industry is a lot responsible for this because they want racism to be around forever. And so they will conjure racism into every conversation. And there are impressionable people who, even though I know you're doing it because you make money, the more racism there is, there's somebody who's impressionable that actually believes that racism is way bigger of an issue than it actually is. So if I talked to this dude and said, so why'd you kill the white girl? Right? Mm-hmm. What did you have in it for the white girl? They're going to say all of the things that you will see the media, Democrats, and the race hustlers have been saying. So when they say the same things that these people say, and they believed it and then take drastic actions like that, who's to blame? The inciters who seeded dumb people, dumb, animalistic, tribal, low IQ people to kill people based on the incitement language that you gave them. It's ridiculous.
And it is kind of interesting. Wasn't she a Ukrainian refugee?
Yeah. Fled a war zone.
The one screaming, help Ukraine, let everybody in, send money to Ukraine, pro-Zelensky, all this. Someone is here, and they got murdered on the other agenda you keep pushing.
Well, the irony is you escape a war zone and to be safe, and you come here and get killed by our race hustler groups. It pisses me off so bad. Carter said his plea bargain should mean less voltage. Yeah, like really fry him. Just don't do enough to stop his heart, just to boil the skin and then make sure that eyes pop out. And I want
Green Mile.
Oh, I want vengeance. Like this is not a justice. This is a vengeance.
Yeah, he doesn't get to get injected with something and fall
we don't
asleep.
We want torture for this guy. This guy needs to be end slowly and painfully.
Daniel said, bring back public execution. Might make others think twice.
Yes.
Connie says he never went before actual judges. They were magistrates with no law degree.
So there's
true?
Yeah, this person was a judge.
I thought a magistrate had to have a law degree.
You would think, the public would think, but because the law industry, the judicial industry is so plentiful with crimes, right? If you have your local district, your federal courts, your local district court, your local courts, they just can't handle the caseloads that are coming through. So they're almost like, if let's just say you had a school district that was growing by percentages higher than you can handle, and they set up little trailers to take care of the influx of the students, right? Do you think that's as well done as a crafted school that's handling and knows their numbers? No, people are going to fall through the cracks. You don't have the proper people because they're just, they're reacting to those influxes. So they can't you create more criminals every day, and your institutions that handle criminals can't do a good job.
And how do you not get to a judge after 14 times.
It's
not even like, oh, here's a dude and he stole something, magistrate. Oh, you're back again, repeat offender. Okay, that's not good. Then you're back again. Then you're back again. Then you're back again. Then you're back again. And you're still not seeing a judge. That's insane. I feel like this fell through so many cracks.
Was, you know, I thought the 3 strikes thing was pretty reasonable. Like if you do something, like if I get a DUI and I get another DUI and I get another DUI, it means that the punishments, I didn't learn from the experience and punishments weren't. So you have to keep escalating how much trouble you get in as time goes on. And you show, like, I don't want considerate, nice judges, right? I want douchebag, awful, mean judges that scare the shit out of you and aren't afraid to put our interests as the public who are following the rules ahead of the person who, oh, you mean your life's going to get hard in the future because you robbed somebody? Oh, too bad for you. It pisses me off.
God.
It was even more disturbing that one of the other people did anything to help her. They were oblivious. Like not any emotion, not any disgust, no reaction. Like it was, you expect your fellow man that if you were in distress would do something, like maybe not put themselves in imminent harm, but at least react. But these were dead souled people who did nothing about what just went down in front of them.
Did it even? So I don't want to watch the video because I know I probably can't handle that. But I did see in some of the stills that there's a woman sitting across from her, from the victim. Did she look over, react in any way? Like, what did that woman sitting there do? My question was like, was this guy close enough that they almost felt like a hostage situation? Like, I can't move. I can't go over to her.
I mean, I'm sure it happened fast. He stood up behind her, stabbed her in the neck, and then walked around her. So that whole clip was like 2 seconds of stuff. And even her reaction.
Yeah, she was still kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, like cowered down, like what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody was there, but you got this dude wielding a knife walking around and a girl slowly dying. At least go to her aid, right? No, everybody was so disinterested.
Like, did anybody look at her and be like, "Are you okay?" Or maybe if they didn't know, because in the pictures, the still pictures, I would have never known she had been stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see anything on her, and she's still sitting there looking around. And then, I was like, "Wait a minute, was she stabbed at this point?" Like, I guess I just thought, like in the movies, you die suddenly or something. I don't know. But they said then she bled out. But like, did anybody say like, "Are you okay?" Or
there was one guy in a gray sweatshirt that walked over to her after she was already on the filthy subway floor, right, bleeding to death. He walked over to her. I don't know what was said, but that was way after she'd already been gone.
Like, do you think people didn't realize what had happened or didn't know what had happened, or? I don't know.
I do not believe that people, I think if you make 2 excuses for these people, it's that number one, I would at least expect a facial expression, right?
Yeah.
Even if you didn't jump into action and do anything about it because you were scared for your life, that's one thing. But all of those people were just, like nothing was going on.
Like, was there no like look over, see blood, see something, and go like
aghast, right?
Like, I feel like I would have been like, I think I'm putting something to get. Did he just, like maybe they didn't realize at first, but there was enough blood that I would have been like, something just happened. I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am completely disappointed in humanity, and it, this is the same stuff that went through my mind, during COVID. I knew that the world around me was not looking out for me, so I had to look out for myself. I had to gather my own data. Don't listen to what everybody was telling me and make decisions to keep me and my family safe, because nobody else was on that case. And so I'm thinking, like, just going out on the streets today, how many other 14-time criminals that don't have patches letting you know that, the judges and the system failed us. And I want to know. I want you to be branded with the scarlet letter so that I know that you're an unsafe person to have me, my family around, walking the same streets with.
Yeah, especially in this like highly divided political climate. I mean, I had told a story several weeks ago or a month or so ago about when Trump was making cuts to PBS. Somebody actually drove by our house. I guess they kind of stopped in front of our house and our neighbor's house because my husband and our neighbor were out front chatting and yelled, "No more Daniel Tiger, Trump's an asshole," all this stuff. And I'm just like, what are you doing in front of my house? Get the hell out of here. Like, what the, like, I feel like people are getting so confrontational now, and they're getting more and more aggressive. Obviously, this stabbing was an extreme example, but like, it's not far off. Like, you just stopped in front of a total stranger's house and yelled something at them. And then there was a woman, I saw a video online the other day. A black woman was out with signs that were pro-Trump signs. And a white woman punched her in the face. She says, "How can you vote for Trump? He's a racist." And she's like, "I don't think he's a racist." And this woman punched her. And I was like, we are getting increasingly more aggressive and ballsy with confrontation over anything. And it's like, how are we even surprised that it escalated to something like this?
So the data is that your fellow man's not going to be there for you. They're going to do nothing about it. So you're on your own. Number two, the density of bad people are increasing every day. The secularists make more bad people. The court system and law enforcement are churning out more people that could do damage to other people on the street, right? And the polarization and the confidence in those polarized people. So you have more of them. They're more courageous. They're more outspoken. They don't fear the law to punch you in the face or take your life or whatever. That's all the data I need. That when my kid says, "I want to go to an area," I want to pick places like the woods and where people are not, versus a city where there might be, 10% of the people that pose an imminent danger to me and my family. My kid just asked me yesterday, "Hey, we usually take like a trip to New York or whatever, goes do something. He wants to go to a concert in New York." And I'm like, no way in hell am I going to a city with population densities filled with people who don't follow the law and law who just lets criminals roam the streets. No way. I will go to a state that takes that serious, and that's where I'll spend my money and my time and energy. And if I have to form my own freaking village away from all of the corrupt people that you've created through this system, you're bad at it, right?
Yeah.
So let's send all the criminals to Australia like Europe did, like Britain did, and get them away from people who like following the rules.
It's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. And like, this is a bit off topic, but it's just one of the reasons that I get frustrated. Is a problem of this magnitude should be front and center, should be important, should be what everybody's trying to figure out. And then I get videos from people I know. Somebody literally sent me a video the other day, and it was making fun of RFK Jr. It was a left-wing Saturday Night Live celebrity talking about, how can you say you're healthy and listen to your voice? Why do you talk like that? You don't sound healthy. And he put, "Oh, you still really think this guy could do a better job at running as president, or you still support this guy?" And I'm like, your reason for not supporting is because of the sound of his voice. And that's what you're focused on. Like, people get so, not only maybe increasingly more ballsy, but they're like getting dumber, I think, with like the point of things. I feel like we will get pitted against each other against the dumbest topic to distract from anything that's actually important, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, let's talk about, I don't know, let's talk about RFK Jr.'s voice when someone was just stabbed on public transit and it was clearly a hate crime. Like, that's what you're talking about now. Oh, is it because you're part of the group that caused that in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people have been saying they're annoyed with how silent part of the media has been on this. Do you agree? I think it is getting more and more publicized now. But how long, I wonder?
Well, okay, again, we go back to Einstein, right? And we go back to famous physicists. And you don't get to escape, natural laws. And no matter what, you get an equal and opposite reaction, right? So when something is happening, you can put it on in an envelope and say, this is exactly what's going to happen. Nature dictates that we're going to have an equal and opposite reaction. So if you have media narratives that skew in a direction and propagandize political activism, and they're the only ones, right? That you have 3 networks and they're all controlled by one side. And so what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be a time where that mold is broken and it swings completely to the other side. So my fear is not that we get back to a homeostasis where reasonable people are in control. I'm going to say it's going to swing back to the other bad end, and I'm going to enjoy that equally as bad. And so the more these push and pull, the tribalism, like we'll go back to your example of picking on RFK, for his voice, you're bought into a narrative, right? You're not smart enough to rationalize why you even hold that. You're a parrot for a propaganda outlet that told you what to say. Yeah. You can't come off of that and all of a sudden say, well, I guess I was wrong, right? That's not human nature. So what do? Now you're all in and you have to be deluded, right? Delulu. You have to be completely
You're so delulu,
right? Because there's no way you're like, oh shit, now I got to pick a new thing to jump on board. It made me sound smart, and all these Democrats gave me the courage of a dumb person saying things in public, and then nobody can criticize me for being freaking stupid. I'm not going to just say, all right, guys, I was so stupid before, I'm so sorry. That never happens.
No, in fact, evidence is to the contrary, where if somebody has their heels dug in and they're believing something and they get shown evidence against what they believe, instead of saying, oh, hey, you were right, that's a good point, I'll consider it, they dig their heels in further.
Yes.
Like, no, that can't be right. That can't be right. And it's like, I think people want to be right more than they want to have actual information.
Yeah, but that is the, I like gatekeeping when it comes to keeping dumb people away from the control knobs. No control board for you, right? No voice for you, no vote for you, nothing. I want you to have zero influence. I want the people that are smart to keep that gate sealed and locked so bad that when you start crying about how nobody will listen to you, they have the confidence to say, there's a reason people don't listen to you, because you're freaking stupid, right? And I want to shame those into not even thinking of gaining any kind of control. I don't want the race hustlers to go around and collect a whole band of people who will consistently embarrass them by doing dumb things, and they still feel the right to beholden to inflict those people on the rest of us in society. And then they have this power over us for some reason. I have no idea where this power comes from. No matter what, the standards are unequal between the two, right? There's not an inconsistency or a conflict in their argument that ever lasts, right?
Yeah.
And reasonable people are so afraid to just say truthful things. So like when the media will say something like when there's a shooter and they're white, right? They say a white shooter. When there's a shooter and they were black, it's just a shooter.
Yeah.
Right? So how is it that we don't look at the obvious data that's in front of us and say, why would you do that? Why would you be delicate in one response and can't wait to say he was a white dude in the other response?
Yeah. And some people have even been talking about after this stabbing, was it the mayor, I think, that publicly said, thank you so much to all our media partners that chose not to share this video out of respect for her family. And I wonder
him.
If I think it was her.
F her.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the more right media was like, how dare that be your statement? Like, thank you for not sharing this video out of respect for her family. And they're like, I wonder if we did not have the video and all we had was a headline, guy stabbed a woman on a train,
nobody would have cared.
This would have fizzled, don't you think?
Well, there was a story the very next day. I can't remember where it was. There was another stabbing. no video footage, and I bet you don't even know about it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that stabbing?
I'm going to find it.
Yeah, we don't even know about that because here we have a visual, and someone had just said too, people are more emotional than rational. It makes it more real. It makes it more emotional. Library stabbing. Is that it?
Yeah, that's probably it.
Multnomah County.
What state is that in?
Multnomah County releases footage preceding library stabbing. Anyone know where Multnomah County is?
Anyway, so this happens every freaking day, right?
Yeah.
There's shootings and stabbings, and we read about them. We don't make a personal connection that a life was lost and people were actually injured. We don't put ourselves in that same seat and think, what if I were just sitting on a bus, minding my own business on my phone? Some guy comes up behind me and stabs me in the neck. Like, I don't want that to happen. And was I at risk yesterday? Was I in a place where someone was behind me and I know people aren't looking out for me and I wasn't paying attention? How likely could I have gotten stabbed yesterday?
Yeah.
How many criminals have judges put on the streets that were around me yesterday? Like, that's what makes me terribly uncomfortable. And we had a good instance that gets national attention. There is national outrage, and it calls attention that all of us need to be aware of what the government is inflicting on law-abiding citizens every day. Not to be like that in like a cliche, because I think it happens so often enough. We're like, oh, there's another shooting yesterday. And it doesn't even raise a red flag in us because it happens so often. We're just used to violence, and we're used to loss of life. They desensitize to us that life is very delicate. It is very special. And we so easily don't get disturbed when somebody loses it.
In fact, they'll keep pushing an agenda even afterwards. I saw a headline yesterday that said the Minnesota shooter's mother is asking the public and media outlets to please use her son's chosen pronouns. He went by she, her. And I'm like, first of all, F off, mom. Like
totally F off.
Seriously.
F off.
Second of all, I believe that headline was put out to cause a stir.
Mm-hmm.
That whole story was meant to cause a stir. Like, now everyone's going to fight over pronouns, and now the fight over trans people is going to reignite, and that's going to be this whole thing. And that can just keep taking precedence over the actual issue or anything that actually needs done.
Well, we have these different modes in our psychology. And if you've ever noticed, like when you have just a regular day, it's a different thought process than when you're in crisis. Like, the things that you worry about and are in your brain or you even notice are different in these two scenarios. So like if you're sitting in your living room and you're noticing things and you're like things you got to do and things that aren't right, versus if you notice that there was a fire that was headed your way. Like your brain snaps into it that my safety is at risk here. This is a big deal. You don't notice any of the little things. Your brain switches into a fight or flight survival mode. So you got these two things where you got people that are wandering our streets with the motivation to kill people and the ability to kill people, and judges not putting them in prison, right? That's the fire that's coming your way. So you're not noticing people's freaking pronouns and the shoes they're wearing and whatever. That's not what is important to you. When the security and people are put at risk, when security is threatened and people are put at risk, they stop paying attention to your bullshit pronoun shit, what you're wearing, what you're doing, what you'd identify as. F that. Do you pose a danger to me? Yes or no? If you do, right, I'm in primitive mode too, and I'm going to protect the shit out of myself, and I don't care what you say and what your narrative is.
Yeah. And any respect for you goes out the window.
Gone. I don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care that your life is ruined. This becomes down between me and you. You are going to lose with 100% certainty if you put me in this mode. The only way that I'll calm down and stop being suspicious and start stereotyping you and categorizing you and judging you, guess what? Is when I'm not in harm's way. When you're not a threat to me, Now I'm willing to listen to what makes you feel good. But if not, if the position we're in right now, I don't give two shits about you or your family or how sad you are today. None of that shit, because you're a threat and I'm going to defend myself against you. That's where we're at.
How do you feel about the argument of a system failed somebody?
F you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like maybe I don't care if you had a hard life or a rough childhood, or maybe you were abused, or maybe you weren't well for many years and maybe you reached out for help and you didn't get it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You don't get to take someone else's life. You don't get to take it out on anyone else. You are an adult. Go find another form of help. You don't get to now go murder somebody, an innocent person, because the system failed you.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Like, that to me is, again, the biggest blow off, the biggest, like, I have nothing else to say to defend this person, yet I still want to push a narrative. So here's what I'll say.
Well, I can make a better argument, because that would be what when an attorney would say when they're making an excuse to be able to mask the bad behavior. They're going to say the system failed. Well, my argument. So first off, the system did fail because it let someone who committed crimes 14 times in a row, and then taking a list of probabilities.
The system failed us, not him.
Right. So now, if you were crying in the corner and you couldn't put a life together because of your trauma, now I agree with you. You didn't take anybody's life. You didn't break any crimes. Your response was the system needs to help somebody who's not a criminal, not victimizing other people. Now you have my attention. And I'll say, yeah, the system needs to help that person. The person who uses that same excuse does an injustice to the person who is minimized and can't put anything together because of their traumas. Now they're using it as an excuse. Now I don't feel bad for anybody whose system failed me, because you've used it as an excuse to justify bad behavior. You ruined that one.
Yeah, it's going to become the new calling someone a racist, calling someone a Nazi.
Doesn't that work anymore?
All these different things that maybe at one point or another would have been a reason or something serious is now just lost because we cried wolf too many times. And now the whole, the system failed him is like, F off. I don't care what
reverse
system
it.
did.
Let's just say that somebody who hates black people is a white nationalist, right? They see that thing on TV, you see a white girl getting pummeled, right?
Yeah.
And now he goes out and he kills a black dude because he saw that video. And then his attorney says, the system failed him. He saw that white person being killed.
Oh, the media should have never released that.
All it did was it solidified his belief that the animalistic black dude there is the enemy. So the system failed him. Would you really have sympathy for the dude who killed a black guy because he saw something on TV? Or would you expect that the incitement, right, caused his white nationalism and his racist behavior? So they're culpable in this as well.
Yeah.
An action that then motivated him to take the life of a black person who wasn't killing anybody. And you have a dumb lawyer who's trying to justify the bad behavior by using history to paint it like he was the victim all along. F you. F.
Yeah.
I'm so
I can't even imagine attempting to be a defense attorney in situations like this. Because really, I mean, what else? What else are you going to go on?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Do you think that we should have the ability for some people in this case to be provided a defense attorney? Or do you think that defense attorney should just be like, I'm just here to explain to you what's about to happen. I'm not defending
I think in certain cases, you want to make sure that due process is followed to make sure that if someone did something like it's on video there, this guy does not have a defense, right?
Right.
It's indefensible.
Yeah.
So making sure that everything is appropriate. They're more sort of like as a bulldog to make sure that the court, being that it's a slam dunk, they don't get overzealous and go beyond what's due to this person. Now, I suggested that he's going to be filleted in front of the public.
Yeah.
So I think that
like,
I don't think you can go far enough.
Yes.
Right.
Especially, again, somebody with his record that then did something this horrific. Like, there is no defense. There is no, well, let's make sure you don't don't go overboard sentencing him. There is no overboard.
Well, there is a structure to our law, and the defense attorney is making sure that structure is followed congruent with where it would be afforded everyone else. That's his only obligation. It's not to get him off on a technicality. It's not to, somehow justify it. It's simply to make sure the rules are followed, because I should, and you should have faith in those institutions that if I walked up to you and say, okay, there's this dude, he made a mistake, right? He robbed a store, whatever, right? So let's go easy on it, because maybe this was just bad state of mind. Maybe he was into something. So rather than ruining his entire life, let's give him one chance to bounce back from that. Okay, so a couple weeks go by, he robs another store and say, okay, that one's embarrassing me a little bit because I went to bat for you and you did the same thing again. This time, maybe this isn't under your control. So let's maybe get you some psychological help to see if they can figure out why you did it again after having just gone through and have your liberties risked, your freedoms risked because you did that thing. A couple weeks go by, he does it a third time. Now the judge is like, all right, dude, I checked the box that said it was a mistake and you bounced back from it. Then I took the state of mind, psychological disorder thing off of the table. You did it a third time having to experience it, right? Mm-hmm. What would a reasonable person say should be the third time punishment? That's it.
You're done.
You got two chances.
You get removed from society.
On different angles. And now the third time is the judge just saying, I'm going to let you off, and I know you're going to do it again. See you next time. And that's not what should happen in our judicial system. It should always be, okay, fine. If you want to use empathy and give someone the benefit of the doubt one time, right?
Yeah.
That's even, third time would be overboard, right? And giving probably more chances that should be afforded to everybody. So
yeah, just like, if somebody has a DUI and then let's say they drive drunk one night and kill an innocent family, and you find out they've had multiple DUIs and they're still out here driving and they're not in jail and they got their license back again and again and again. Right. Like, would you not say, what the hell?
Yep.
How many times does it take before you realize they're going to kill someone?
Brian says, did you notice that nobody said anything about banning knives? Evil people use any means necessary. And I'm not even gonna use that point. Here's the deal, and I've said it from the very first show that I ever did publicly. Stupid people are the problem, right? And our inability to not know what to do with stupid people is what we're seeing the symptoms of. So in this case, you have ambush people who listen, right? And they're indoctrinated into thoughts. So all they have is thoughts that other people gave them, the media, their education, their family. They have original thoughts. They're too dumb. They're just absorbers of what other people say. And if they get in front of a microphone, they say the things they heard rather than the things they think and their opinions, and they can't stand up for this. So these ambush people, they have like 5 things that they're good at, and they talk about those things. And they're like, okay, I know about global warming, and my friends like me because I like that. And I hate guns, and I want guns to go away. And so they have these laundry lists of things that they know how to respond to, and they know how to shoot a zinger at you when these things come up. So they're watching TV, waiting in ambush style for one of those things to come along so they can go out in public and pretend to be smart just for a little while, right? Yeah. So the guns are a big one, right? Something happens, somebody jumps up and says, hey, AR-15s, I know a lot about this thing, and I know what to say because I heard all my favorite commentators say these things. And it gives dumb people a stage where other dumb people pay attention to them. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm surrounded by dumb people, and if I had the scepter, that would be one thing that first moves is a scepter. I become president. And I'm going to do my best to insulate smart people from the consequences of having dumb people with too many controls at their hand. That's really I'm going to run on that platform. I'm going to be Congressman Joe, right? Make America smart again and make dumb people in straitjackets and on treadmills so that they can actually add something to society.
Quell the dumb.
Yeah. And with AI, more of those dumb people, like you can make the argument that religion kept a lot of dumb people at least mitigated from having influence on society, right? They got things repeated, the messaging kept them docile and so that they weren't a threat to the rest of us.
Mhm.
And then you had, the consequences of law that kept people from doing the wrong thing. And so it kind of kept that, sort of under wraps. Then it was that, they had jobs and they have things that they had to do because the pressures of capitalism meant that instead of spending 8 hours dreaming up how many laws they were going to break today, they just had to do something and they were kept occupied, right? But now when AI makes an emergence, you're going to have the dumb people are just going to have tons of time on their hands. You don't think that they're going to dream up new ways to make the rest of us suffer because of their stupidity. We got to figure out what to do with dumb people today while we still can manage it. And I don't know if it's warehouse them, put them in a place, put them on treadmills and make them generate electricity, put them in camps so that they're, using pickaxes and breaking, boulders in the middle of a field. You got to give them something to do because otherwise they're going to wreck the rest of society.
But I keep thinking about that Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense when he's like, the dead people, they don't know they're dead. The dumb people, they don't know they're dumb.
They don't.
They think they're raising good points. They think they have a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the victim class is encouraged by the narrative of Democrats and secularists, because that's their group. Dumb, stupid mobs of confident people is what it is.
Patricia just said, but dumb people don't know they're dumb. It's only the people around them that have to suffer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh God, I keep thinking of so many examples in my head.
And really, I kind of cast Democrats as the enablers of the dumb people because you think Democrats are more empathetic towards the needs. That's why they raise historical injustices, situational and structural. People fall through the cracks. And some of them are doing it for noble reasons. They want to help people who, are suffering. And that is noble. But when you then when those victims, right, or when those people that you've embraced embarrass you by enacting bad behavior, when you're the one who had their back and stood up for them, you expect them to repay the favor and not make you look like an idiot because you supported them, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what this entanglement where the Democrats are equally as embarrassed as misbehavior within the victims that they've created. And I feel bad for the real Democrats, the race hustlers and those people who enabled them on purpose, knowing what they were doing. They're just evil. But the true blue dog Democrats, right? Those are the ones that are white or old school, like 80s and 90s Democrats were even much more tolerable than today's Democrats.
Yeah, and that's a term I've heard a lot lately too, is a 90s Democrat. That's kind of how I maybe saw myself at one point, was like the old school Democrat that still kind of made sense, I guess. Now when we say Democrats, I feel like they get a bad rap sometimes because it becomes synonymous with the far leftists.
Well, here's where they went wrong. So let's use an example. Let's just say, during the Industrial Revolution, we needed a lot of workers to do jobs that were pretty difficult, right? Mm-hmm. And we needed a lot at a certain time. And then we had this influx of immigrants that we were just recruiting into our steel mills, into the building the railroads, into everything that's around us right now was built during that era. And the companies that put that together did not have the cog first mentality, right? You were just a commodity that I can go get 10 other people that can hit on a nail a bunch of times that had a strong back and whatever. So I don't care about you as the individual. So what happened? Workers were paid the very least that somebody can get away with. It wasn't competition. It was a sheer number of people that they had access to, so that if you said, hey, I make $2 and I want to make $3, you say, you go bye-bye, and now I got my new $2 worker. And that was what was important, right? Mm-hmm. And so you had the Democrats of days old. They were like, well, let's put the camera based on the $2 guy. He only wants $3 because he wants a better life, and he wants to have prosperity for his family, and he wants to build a house and buy a car. He has all good reasons to want to make more money. So the company that doesn't see the individual in this is the one that's wrong. So then we bring a bunch of people together. We're going to force the company to give more money for that labor. And because it's more of a hassle to put up with those labor demands and just giving, so they fought for an actual end, right? Now you go through a couple of generations of people who were fighting for labor. When you had an original seed that everybody would agree with, that's probably good. What happens when you solve the problem, but you're still fighting against the company, even though the exploitation and the original transaction that got people fired up in the beginning? Do you still fight for it because now it's just part of your identity? Or do you even know what you're fighting for? Is it that at some point it flips and say, okay, so during the Industrial Revolution, do you think companies were evil?
I don't know much about the Industrial Revolution.
Okay. Okay. So I've studied it pretty in depth, and they were effective, but they were not looking out for the worker 100%, right?
Yeah.
They were interested in building things and not who was going to do the building, right? I'll give you that.
I could see that.
And, the methods they use to get companies to transactionalize the other direction, which is now I'm going to pay you not because I want to pay you, it's because I have to pay you. Okay, well, now you have at least equal footing on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it flipped, and now the people who had a noble cause and doing it for the right reasons, and I would listen to their argument, went the other direction, and now they became the evil masters, the power hungry, the forcing with leverage and blackmail, the using violence to get your way. And like, you're no better than the beast that you tried to conquer originally. You just became a beast yourself with more power than the company has now.
Yeah, now they've become more entitled. Like, it used to be, hey, I just want what's fair. I want what's right. I want whatever, what makes sense. Now it's, no. I actually want more now.
So if I created a job, I was a race hustler, right? And I knew that there was a lot of racism around me, and I can go around doing a good thing while at the same time building that as part of my identity. And let's just say it's hard for me to start finding racism, and that's my job, is to find racism. So now I got to curate some. I got to get some going because I still need a job and I still need to do my thing. Now you've become the evil that you were fighting by now. What you would have said on day one is, I don't want there to be racism. And now when you have trouble finding racism, you're like, I need racism. So you did that switch over. Same thing with pharmaceuticals, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say you get all of your funding from there being cancer. And you're saying, I'm going to get in this industry because I want to cure cancer. And then you're like, if I actually cure cancer, I am not going to have a reason to wake up today. I'm going to have to find something to do. So now you have a crux. You're like, should I cure cancer or should I just keep it perpetuating, kicking it down the road? These are human nature items where the beast, and what's the Joker thing or the Batman thing? You live long enough to become
watch yourself become the villain. Yeah.
In every case, that's human nature. Is that once we push the power and control in our direction, we don't become Batman, right? We become the villain. And that's where we find ourselves right now.
Speaking of the whole worker job entitlement, I've been getting increasingly more annoyed with instances I keep seeing all over the place. People trying to get something for free.
Yes.
People, I think, have no idea how a business makes money. I think we've gotten so far into this idea, this narrative that businesses, business owners, they must all just be rolling in the dough and greedy and overdoing things unnecessarily and charging things unnecessarily. And it to me, not only workers, the general public seems to be under this delusion that a business can just give things away for free all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting so fed up with this. So fed up. When I hear somebody, I just saw somebody I know down south, they own a business and they posted a review on Facebook and they do car detailing. And somebody left a review that said, they quoted me, whatever it was, I don't know, $600. That's ridiculous. I told them I'd pay $100 and they said, no, thanks. Well, I can't believe it's either no money or $100 and you're going to say no to $100. That's just bad business sense to me. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, that doesn't even pay the worker to do it. That doesn't pay for their supplies to do it. They simply said, sorry, that's not our prices. It's this. They have it set. And this person's like, oh, this evil company wouldn't just do it for what I was willing to pay. And I'm just like, that's our society.
Well, that's the dumbness of society.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is, after they say that, I want you to rummage through the things they own and then see if there's anything that they own that they're carrying around that's ridiculous to pay for it. Let me look at your car. Let me look at your phone. Let me see what it actually costs and see how much you overpaid for those things. If you can carry the principle and you're just a frugal person, it's a fair deal. But I bet you that you only picked that one because of a little bias that you carry around in your heart against certain people, but permissive in any other direction.
Yeah.
Every other direction.
Oh, another one I see regularly is, hey, I've been a customer before. Oh, great. So can you do this for free now? No. Like would I go to my hairdresser and say, you did my hair once, so now like every 6 weeks or something, I'd come back endlessly for free, right? Like, no. Why do people think that's a thing? Is that a thing anywhere?
Secularists allowed human beings to do human nature thing, and envy and greed is not a. People are greedy and they're envious, and so who do they take it out on? Is the people that they're envious and greedy of, or think are greedy.
Yeah.
Let's read some of these comments. Let's see. Citizens do not need automatic guns. Our gun technology has surpassed our idiot detection technology. And you don't have to sell automatic guns to anybody. You also not allowed to tell other people what they can and can't do, so long that they are not coming into your space. It's really, when it comes to liberties and freedoms, it's like dumb people, and sorry, Tony, I don't really want to call you dumb, but the angle that you're taking is very stupid, right? Because here's really the acid test for telling people what they can and can't do. Do you know who's allowed to tell you what you can and can't do? A higher authority than you.
Yeah.
Right? A trust authority. Someone who's better at something than you. So I listen to people who have honesty, integrity, and have the merit to have an opinion about something. When you don't have any of those three things, you're not worth listening to. So your opinion that people shouldn't have guns or automatic weapons, give me your history with what makes your opinion about that either deep as a puddle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or sophisticated philosophy. So I challenge anybody to bring that whole, what I heard that people, why don't people, I think people do need weapons. They need semi-automatic. They need big bullets that maybe have little fire bombs inside.
Mm-hmm.
They need lots of weaponry. All right. I read the Federalist Papers. And so I looked at the insights of people who just escaped tyranny, right? And how sensitive they were to being crushed by not having freedoms and liberties that we have right now. Well, we have them. All we have to do is not give them away, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you go from we have two examples. How do you go from a free country into tyranny? If you wanted to engineer yourself from freedom to tyranny, what would you do? And if you wanted to go from tyranny to freedom, what would you do? Well, we have both insights because we came from a country that was, right, to was not anymore. And so I don't look at the people who were in that moment that experienced both at the time. Their insights are freaking ahead of yours, Tony. All right. And the automatic weapons or nuclear bombs or anything that you want to put on your holster that keeps tyranny at bay is something that any freedom-loving American should have at their disposal, because the tyranny has a bigger threat, right? How they're crushing us right now. All you needed was to be alive in 2019, 2020 to see how much power and influence the government has to tell you what to do. And then I have Tonys of the world who are picking up and bootlicking the government and saying, hey, they got to tell you what to do. I want to tell you what to do too.
Did you see the video online? I don't know if it's real or not, but somebody said it was a video of something, I think it was in 2020, They said Governor Walz had the National Guard come in and was screaming at people to get in their homes during COVID. Like you weren't even allowed to leave your house. And even they like shot pellets at some people who were standing on their front porch and were like, get in your house. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, there's a video. I'll try to send it to you and show you. But it was like, is that why people would say, you're not taking anything from me? Because I saw a glimpse of what it's like for you to disarm us and then come.
Well, the furtherment of the argument is that, okay, so if you and I, you're responsible for one thing and I'm responsible for the other, right? The government's role, right, is to keep people law abiding. So if I have no doubt that the government's like, oh, you know what, we're creating all these bad people and there's guns over there. Either we're going to say, let's start delivering better, more responsible people out there, or let's just take all of their abilities away, which is easier. One, I have to do something. The other one, I get to tell you to do something. So I say, when you say people don't need guns, hey, how about creating a civilization here that we're not afraid of our neighbors shooting at each other, because you don't create derelicts and you don't have secular, I don't care about, no fear of God in everybody, and everybody's behaving badly and we're encouraging it. Like,
yeah,
you clean up your shit before you tell me that that you're going to come take my guns. Yeah.
And again, like the instance of the stabbing. I mean, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it regardless of how powerful of a firearm they have. That argument just sort of falls flat.
Yeah, you got more responsibilities before you start worrying about me. Yeah. You're doing a lot too much wrong. And sorry, Tony, for
no offense, Tony.
What's that?
I said no offense, Tony.
Yeah, Tony, I hit you, but I'm just grumpy because of that leadoff story. You mean like Trump saying David Duke is a good guy? I don't even listen to this shit anymore. It's too repetitive. What business do you have?
That's when I was talking about businesses.
Oh, I think he's saying, what business do you have telling other people what to do? You have no business. You can self-regulate. You can take personal responsibility. Don't freaking worry about me until you are absolutely perfect and having self-control. Entitled Republicans. There are some entitled Republicans, Tony. Mm-hmm. There was a white retired professor at Auburn that was murdered by a person of color while walking her dog last week. I'm telling you, every stinking day. And I want to personalize and show videos and show their picture. And I want everybody to say, this is a lot of loss of life. And what's the gain by permitting so much criminality on all of our streets? We got innocent people that are being murdered. And I want all of us to be outraged to the point where we're done with it. Like, no more of this bullshit.
Yeah.
Did you ever even shoot one in the house? We are past the revolution part of talk about dumb. If you want all this armor, just join the military. Take any one of those angles and tell me why I shouldn't totally...
Did you ever even shoot one in a house?
Have I ever shot a gun in a house? No, but I've contemplated that if anybody broke in and I had to pull the shotgun, that I would not want to shoot it because it would be really loud and it would be very destructive, and I'd have pellets all over in the walls.
About have you ever needed to defend yourself in your house?
No, I have not.
But people do all the time.
Yeah.
Like break-ins do happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've even contemplated what my moves would be, where I don't want to cause too much damage in my own house, but I want to scare the crap out of you and make you run away so I don't have to kill you. But totally, I have 4 scenarios all ready to go. So if you break in, you're going to get at the leader of that scenario all the way to the I'm going to take your life scenario and everything in between. I've practiced it. I've rehearsed it. I'm ready to go if you were to come in and throw yourself around in my place.
In fact, you don't even need to shoot it in your house. The bad guys will shoot into your house.
Yes.
That happens all the time.
I had a customer, this was back late 90s, that it was a grandfather, and he was raising his granddaughter in north side of Youngstown. And it was getting better in Youngstown. It was probably on the tail end of violence in Youngstown. And when you walked into his house, there was no furniture on the first floor at all. It was empty. And they lived in the basement. Everything they did to live was in the basement because they were afraid of drive-by shootings and her catching
God.
a stray bullet. So they literally bought a 3-story or 2-story house and lived in the freaking basement because of what that part of town delivered.
I don't blame them. Have you ever experienced a drive-by?
Mm-mm.
Our very first house in Georgia was a nice area when we moved in, and over 10 years that we lived in that house went downhill. And there's a drive-by shooting. They weren't shooting towards our house. They were shooting out the other direction, meaning they shot out the driver's side window. Had they shot out the passenger side window, there's our house. And I was like, oh, we're out of here.
Yep.
Like, holy cow. That'll do something to you.
Yeah. And let's see. What was that about revolution? We are past the revolution part of it. I don't think so. I think we're as close to another revolution, a quite different revolution than you think.
Again, I know I can find this video and I'll send it to you and we'll see if it's legit or not. But National Guard walking down the street, shooting people on their front porch with pellets saying, get in your house. You're not allowed to come out. Like, that struck me some kind of way. Like, what is that? Control.
All right. Where are all the Navy SEALs now that our government is rounding up citizen, militarizing our cities, and can now racially profile people
to detain them?
Where are all the Navy SEALs now that the government is rounding up criminals, not citizens, criminals that they're sending off because they're illegally in this country? So little terminology shift there.
Militarizing our cities, and can we racially profile to detain? Again, this video was not Trump who sent these military members in and were controlling people and getting them in their house. That wasn't this establishment.
I think they're talking about ICE raids, by the way.
Right. But what kills me now too is, and not just the ICE raids, but have you seen, I don't know who it was. She was speaking publicly recently. She said, when we send in like National Guard in areas of high crime, all they're trying to do is gain control and scare people. And I'm like, you know what's scary to me? The high crime, the criminals. Seeing extra law enforcement on the street doesn't worry me.
Yeah, but that's what makes them uncomfortable, is that when you're rounding people up who are criminals, they're making the mathematical and logical connection that criminals, they tend to commit crimes. And when someone gets stabbed in the neck on a bus, that was a criminal. So you don't get a lot of sympathy from people who just witnessed what the master equation of permitting criminals to do criminal things. We end up being the victims. And that's why you should shift the narrative between protecting the criminal elements and trying to lay down cover like there's innocents caught in those criminals, when your party, the Democrat Party, permitted the density of criminals being just allowed to do criminal things. That's first and foremost. We're in crisis right now.
They treated the everyday people like criminals over an illness, over COVID, over like, if you don't think everyday people were being treated like criminals and being rounded up and controlled and their freedoms and liberties were being taken away, you're delusional. That was the biggest instance of innocent people being controlled and having their rights taken away. People were losing their jobs over what they were being told to do. They were being slandered and made to look like terrible people who aren't caring because they were questioning something. Again, National Guard in the street, controlling people, not letting them leave their homes. But then you round up some people that may even be actively committing a crime, and you're like, oh, but some innocent people might get caught up in there. Number one, we don't know that they are innocent. And number two, if a handful gets caught up in an attempt to fight actual criminals, that is far different than openly treating the American public as all criminals if you even tried to leave your house or you didn't want to get an injection into your own body.
All right, so let's just say we did profile, right? And the government said, yeah, crime's too much. Innocent people are dying every single day. We're just going to racially profile and gather people up, check them out to see if they are a danger, And if we got it wrong, we'll release them. So the downside is you get an innocent person who was just on their way to work. They get detained for 24 hours and they figure out whether or not you're good or bad. That's scenario number one. Not great. Versus let all these people on the street and somebody gets stabbed in the neck. Make those comparisons to what downside are you willing to look at and say, I want that one. Do I want the neck stabbing, or do I want innocent people to get caught in those nets?
Yeah, I mean, if I were in one of these cities, these high crime rampant cities, National Guard's being called in, something's got to be done. People are getting murdered on my sidewalks on a daily basis. Let's say more law enforcement comes in. Let's say, hey, we've noticed a lot of people, a lot of blondes are committing crimes. Kelin, you're a blonde. I'd be like, oh, shit. Okay. Listen, we're going to need to take you in for questioning. We just want to look into a few things. You're a high probability. All right. Take me in, question me. I got nothing to hide. I didn't do anything. Are we good? We're good. Bye. And I go on. But did all the other people that fit my description who are criminals get rounded up and maybe are now in jail? I'll take that. I'll take that. In a civilization that is so bad that there are multiple murders daily, by all means, inconvenience me for a bit, if that's what it takes to stop it. Because what's the alternative? We just allow people to get murdered all day, every day?
Well, and when I say the word profiled, I'm not saying racially profiled. I'm saying if you're law enforcement and you deal with this every day, and you can create a category or someone who is likely or highly probable to be, a perpetrator, a criminal. So let's just say I have 10 checkboxes. One is that you're a certain ethnicity. One of that you dress a certain way. One of it's you talk a certain way. One of it's you hang out in this place. One of it is this. And I go down my list and I'm like, oh, like all of the profile boxes were checked. If the way you dress, that doesn't commit you and I'm not going to arrest you for that one. But if you check all of the boxes, then there's a high chance. So if we had let's just say some mules came in and dropped off a busload of people from Nicaragua and they were all drug dealers, right? And they dropped you off in a parking lot. Now the cops have to go and say, okay, well, I got to investigate this. My goal is to catch all the people that came out of that car, right? There's going to be certain things I'm looking for to see if I can grab somebody and see if they're one of them. All right. Do you speak English? Do you look a certain way? Are you in the parking lot? Did you run for me when I started coming out? All these things like, oh, okay, well, hey, did you just come from Nicaragua? No, I live down on Sampson Street and I work down at the blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're free to go because you're not the person. But being detained and questioned and more information gathered, I would be willing, even as a libertarian, that when we're in crisis, we're willing to let people go a little further than when they're not in a crisis to be certain, because the upside is that we take a drug dealer and he wasn't able to go on the street and sell drugs. That was scenario number one, versus the guy who works at Subway and lives down on Sampson Street gets, detained for a couple hours. If the stabbings and the robbings and the drug dealings weren't happen, I would never in a million years give, law enforcement the ability to just detain someone because they thought about it. But you would have to remove the crisis first. And then I'll say, oh, you got to lower your shit again.
Yeah. Funny how the crisis and drastic moves in a crisis was okay in one instance, not okay in another.
Right.
And the only difference is what political power is in power at that moment. I didn't mind that response, but I don't like this response.
Right. If the intention was that you didn't know enough, so you locked everybody down because you didn't know to protect people. Okay, fine. That is a good argument in the beginning.
Yeah.
If beyond when you started finding the deal, you were not, right? You were not forthcoming with the public. Now all of a sudden you're the villain because, we were willing to trust in you that you knew better than us and had more information to us. And now that same information, when it goes counter to why you did it, you'd be a little embarrassed and you didn't want to say you were wrong about something. I would have even forgiven them if in the first month they were like, hey, we don't know anything about it, so let's take the air of caution and do this thing. It's terrible. Stay in your houses until we have more information. And then find out, oh, we were wrong. We did the wrong thing. I would have absolutely forgiven them for that second step.
Yeah, if they would have said, we did what we knew with the little information we had. We had to keep people safe in any way possible, but we're learning more. Carter says liberals care more about the criminals than they do the victims. That is the difference between left and right.
They're more adopting to that group. Absolutely.
Julie says 400 employees of Hyundai were deported. They were invited here by the CBD.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I
yeah.
did see that headline, but I was so distracted with all this other terrible stuff that I didn't get to read into it. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll read into it and make sure, Julie, you know I'm going to counter you, so I got to look into it.
Tony says it's a police state. LOL. Probably not a real blonde. LOL.
Joe, you could possibly be mistaken for someone of Middle Eastern descent. How would you feel if you were detained? I've never been detained, right? I don't know that I've just not given off that vibe when I'm going around.
The creeper
and
vibe.
if there were a crisis, and let's just say there was a threat of some terrorists and they came up and talked to me and had a discussion, I mean, I would feel safer knowing that everybody got stopped and everybody was asked questions and they were gathering information to make sure that I wasn't headed to do something bad. I'd be willing.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like if I fit a description of somebody causing a problem and they say, hey, we need to detain you and get some information. Okay. If it's going to catch the person causing the problem, I'll cooperate.
All right. So you drive a white car.
Yeah.
Right. You get pulled over.
Yeah.
Hey, we got your car matches the description of a robbery earlier today. We want to see where your whereabouts were and what you're doing and whatever. Yeah. And then you're like, hey, I was just coming home from work. I wasn't robbing anybody. Mind if we search your car? In this case, absolutely. I'll be willing to let you see what's going on in here. And then they say, oh, she didn't do the robbery, and you're set on your way. Do you think the inconvenience, right, is more important than finding someone who's driving around in a car that looks like yours? You can see how they want to make sure that people driving that car, that's all they had to go on.
I get it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So long that after they found out you weren't that's where it stopped. And that overreach would be if they continued treating you like you were a criminal after they found out that you were not. That's where my problem would begin at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go too far for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't think the outrage is over those going too far. I think it's fake outrage over any inconvenience because they don't
again,
like who's doing
it's that narrative where those ambush people are waiting for a racist activity because that's what they know. They like talking about that. They have things to say about that. So when something happens, they're like, oh, the weather change. It must be global warming, right? They can't wait to say that thing. So when you have a bunch of people who are of, they're from South America, or the majority of them are Mexican looking, brown skin, brown hair, right? When one of those people get detained, then either it's I was looking into a probability, or this is racial. And I want to go the racial route. So I'm going to say racially profiling as often as I can, because that's the one I want it to be.
What if you were in law enforcement, a crime was committed, it was committed by an African-American male in a red car.
Yes.
And you see in that area an African-American male in a red car. And that's all you know. Similar area, similar color car, African-American male, and you pull him over. Technically, I pulled you over because of your race, because I'm looking for an African-American male. But is that racist?
Well, I wouldn't be looking for a blue car with a Chinese dude, right? That would be kind of dumb if I was looking to solve a crime. I would follow the information I had and led up to whether or not you were the person that did the thing. And as soon as I know you weren't, then you and I don't have any more interactions. You can go along your way.
Yeah.
So can race be a contributing factor in me profiling? Absolutely.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old African-American was running away from the bank with a gun. That's all I know. So who am I going to stop? Is he 20? Is he African-American? And does he have a gun, or do you think he had a gun before? So I see a guy driving a red car. He looks 20. He looks African-American. I'm not going to be like, oh, 2 out of 3. I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah.
I'm pulling you over. I'm doing the gunshot residue test on your hand, or looking for a weapon in your car. And I will see if, as my certainty increases, while I keep adding to what I know versus what's hypothetical. I can't believe we have to talk about things like
Yeah.
this. I really can't.
Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous. It is. Jennifer says, always a double standard. Dennis says, authoritarians don't like to let a crisis go to waste. Always see it as an opportunity to advance an agenda.
What's always the double standard? The double standard is...
I think that came up when we were talking about not minding if we do something in one aspect, but a different political party does it.
The way if it's a good law or principle, it can be applied uniformly to all people, even before you know who they are and what they do. That's when you know you have a good law or a principle worth believing in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget the patriarchy. They love to hate the patriarchy. That's one of my favorite discussions too, by the way, because this is another thing that we romance women's ability to break outside of the household, right? Which I think was completely noble, and people should pursue anything that makes them happy and whatever. But it's almost like creating if you were a woman and you decided to do something, would you want it to be that people support your choice to do whatever they want to do versus they want you to do something and they want that to be your choice? And if you don't do the thing they want you to do, then you're equally as criticized. Like, what if you decided, you know what? I like being a mom. I like running a household. I like doing laundry. I like doing all the stereotypical woman duties. That makes me happy and gives me purpose. The feminists come up to you and say, how dare you, Kelin?
You don't financially
you need to
support them, and you don't.
Husbands need to do laundry too. That was my Greta impression, by the way.
But then if you're like, that's not for me. I want to be out of the house every day. I want to work in corporate America. I want to have a job. I want to make money. You want someone else raising your children? You don't want to be there and see everything. You're just okay missing out on everything.
So my principle is, hey, are you a human being? Yes. Do you want to do what you want to do? Are you doing what you do? Cool. Fist bump. Good. Doesn't affect me. It only affects you. You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Which I feel like used to be the Democratic way until people just lost their shit and went batshit crazy.
Yep. People are being pulled out of courthouses while going through the process. They are detained, kids going to school, criminal kids. They even went into a hospital to pull out a patient. I love it. When there was one dude who walked out of he was released from prison, and the agents were waiting outside the prison. So he got about 19 seconds worth of freedom before they cuffed him and sent his ass back in there. After seeing that video of criminals, you do not get sympathy from me for criminals right now. They are the enemy. And I don't care what justification, the more law enforcement allowed to do their jobs, that pull these people off the streets, I'm even going to tolerate them getting it wrong sometimes and doing things that don't have great optics on it, if their motive is to get criminals away from me and my family, period.
Yeah. Jennifer says that was when we were talking about COVID and all that. Double standard for sure.
Yep.
Tony, he's fun. Just end the show and go back to your MAGA hat. I've never owned a MAGA hat.
I need a MAGA hat.
We talk about that all the time, which is why we laugh, is depending on where you tune in, we are either MAGA or left liberal snowflakes.
Yes.
We've been called both. So I'm like,
yeah, that's when you're objective and you're unbiased and you just stick to like real things and you're not captured by any kind of ideology. That's where you end up.
When you're captured by an ideology, the truth sounds very triggering.
Yes, it does.
And any sense of middle ground or rationale or unbiased opinion, or actually an opinion that doesn't fit your narrative, is very triggering, and you automatically think someone is in one camp.
Yeah.
In fact, you think there need to be two camps.
This phenomenon, I use the analogy all the time, like we were sitting in your car and the car next to you starts moving and you can't really tell in your brain who's moving.
You're like,
you or them. Well, political parties do that. They you can't really join one of those teams because they move so drastically away from you and towards you. Like, I could see if I joined a political party that I would be able to be there for like 20 seconds before I'm like, no, like you just went that way. Why'd you change? Why did you go towards that thing and away from me? My principles have been the same since I was probably 15 years old. It's all based on truth and principle. And you know, when it's so malleable within parties, and it's so polarizing, where we would be more well liked if we would just join a team and be a proponent. Here, we piss off both sides because the Republicans don't like us because we say things that aren't complementary to their ideology. And the Democrats really hate us because I would say 90% of everything they stand for, I disagree with. So I have more to argue with Democrats than I do Republicans. I just think Republicans are feckless, you know, cowards who, you know, say they have a lot of principle but never follow through on anything they say they're going to do. I'm sort of like my favorite movies are like The Patriot and Braveheart. I like the martyr badass, right? The person that says, this is what I believe, and I don't care who's in front of me. I'm standing up for my beliefs, and I don't care if it's you or the next guy. I ain't double back. I'm not backing down. I'm going to beat your ass with what I feel about.
And I think we could even see that too over history, where you see the two political parties, Democrats and Republican, shifting.
100%. They're moving all around us.
Yes, like ideals that were of one party are now associated with the opposite party. And then it'll switch back again. And people think it's insane to have this mindset of like, I'm not one of them. Here's the ideas I like. Here's what I support. And whatever label, right, left, Republican, Democrat, you want to put on that, fine. But I'm sticking with this idea. And nobody sees that, like, they have swapped over history. Like, I would bet you at one point, you take someone of the Democratic Party and they look at things that happened in history, I bet you they would have been part of the Republican Party in history. Vice versa. Oh, I would have been Republican. Now I'm more Democrat. Or now, like, these labels will change. The people will change. But all of a sudden, but we're fighting over like semantics almost. Like anything that is not what you want at that time in that narrative, you're automatically this. And it's like, you don't even know we were on the same team. Like, we're so divided. All people hear is like, what are you? What am I? And let's keep that
the
distance.
Tribalism.
Yeah.
So I started doing radio back in 2009. And every once in a while, I'll go back and read or listen to something that I did back then. I am telling you that my principles have stayed ideologically consistent over 20 years of saying things publicly. And when I was younger, I was a little bit more outspoken and a little bit more fearless to say things that were harder to hear. And I went through an era where I tamped down some of my more contentious topics and I was a little less edgy. And now I'm back to, I don't give two shits. I'll just say whatever I'm feeling and knowing. But you can't take a current politician and put that through that same filter because they have changed their ideology so much as part of like a popular thing to say in front of the rest of their team. And I would never, think of in today's media where you can roll back a tape for someone saying the absolute opposite, whether it be Joe Biden or, what he used to say about black people and gays and, the economy. It was complete opposite to the shit that he's saying right now.
Yeah. And I saw that with Kamala Harris too. She would say things in interviews years before she ever ran and then say the exact opposite. And it's like, you're just a talking head for whatever agenda you want to push. Yep. And I would even say, I don't even know if my ideals and where I place emphasis has changed. But when I see an instance that is not that, I can get it. Like for example, if I at one point in my life were to ever say, oh, I'm more Democratic and I'm more left leaning and I don't think anyone should have their rights taken away and we should all be equal. Okay. But then when I see an instance of someone saying, hey, we're not equal, their rights are being taken away. And I say, are they? Let me look. Oh, no, you're mistaken. They're not. Oh, what are you, MAGA now? I was like, no, I equally think no one should have their rights taken away. I'm just saying that's not an example.
That's a bad choice to pick out as an example if that's what you're really contending.
Like racism is bad. Absolutely. Well, look at this. Racist. No, that's It's actually not an example of racism.
Yeah, you wanted that to be racist more than it actually is racist.
So you must be racist now too. Then you must be on their side. And it's like, no, you're just seeing these things where they are not.
You are an idiot, stupid head. Absolutely. Let's see. None of this stuff would be an issue had Biden not let millions into the country. Their anger is directed to the people who are trying to fix things. That is an important point. So you don't think, if you're like, okay, so the Democrats are like, hey, you know what? Here's what everybody we're going to get elected. The Republicans, they're too popular out there, and they're going to win all these elections. This is sort of like my Biden old white dude politician.
It almost sounds like you're.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what we're going to do. First, we got to take control of the media. We got to make sure we own what they say, the narrative. Is there any way we can get ourselves bought into the media so that you don't get to hear Republican stuff? You only hear Democrat. Okay, we got them. All right, now let's do music and movies. Make sure that we have our narratives baked in all of the stuff that people see, and we can kind of condition. How can we get to academia? Let's get academia and make sure that academia is only teaching stuff that when people come out of college and they see it on TV, that they're at a specific persuasion. Now let's gerrymander every state so that we win elections and we take control of dense population areas so that we can get the votes that we need to win. What else? What else could we do? I know. Let's import a bunch of people, and since we did it, they will vote for us forever. So we've got the media, and we've got academia, we've got the movies, we've got the voting districts. We got all the institutions, and now
if anybody tries to push back, we'll just discredit them and make them look like a crazy person.
And we've got 40 million people that we'll bring in here, and at least 60% of them will vote for us. Ha 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 ha! We got them. And then we're like, oh, we didn't consider that they're going to be a lot of criminals, and they're going to torch our cities, and they're going to take things over and then make things horrible for everybody else. And then we're going to lose our academia. We're going to lose the narrative through media. We're going to stop being able to filter money through NGOs, or these activists, whatever NGOs are going to dry up with money. We're kind of losing right now. So yes, that is one of 20 reasons why the Democrats are at a huge disadvantage, because their voting bloc is getting kicked the hell out of our states and cities.
Julie thinks you just described the trumpets.
What? What's the trumpets?
First of all, is that new?
Trumpets?
Trump supporters are trumpets?
I don't know. I'm not. It's a new term. Tell us what the
trumpets.
Trumpettes, like girl Trump people. Trump.
Is that just synonymous with MAGA?
Trumpets.
That's a new term. The trumpets. Julie also says, it sounds to me that you are very tolerant of some degree of tyranny.
No. In a moment of crisis, all of us through human nature know we are willing to do certain things short term till the crisis is gone, right? Mm-hmm. And so if a hurricane comes through your town, right, the cops aren't paying attention to speed limits when the hurricane's coming through, right? The crisis is happening. You're elevating and responding to the actual crisis. When there's no more hurricane, then you get back to normal civilization. If you put us in a perpetual state of crisis, then we can't have laws and we can't have, authorities, because we're in crisis. Nobody's worried about that.
Yeah. If you agree with the way 2020 and COVID was handled, then you are okay with some degree of tyranny. And again, in the beginning, sure, here's something new. We don't know what we're dealing with. There's a lot of missing information. We're trying to figure this out. Hospitals are overrun. Here's what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks. Everybody just be cool. Just stay inside. We're going to figure this out. Not hating any of it so far.
Yep. But this is evidence that when anybody overplays their hand, and they teach you this on day one of Poker 101, you do not overplay a hand, because what ends up happening is you get caught with an overplayed hand. It diminishes. Like if you overplay every hand, then people don't take your overplayed hand seriously. They get a sensitivity that's insensitivity to you overplaying a hand. If you bluff every time, it works a couple times, right? And it doesn't work anymore. And you end up getting stuck being with a busted straight or something in your hand, and it plays for nothing. And that's where, we find ourselves in, is the racism thing was overplayed. The crisis thing was overplayed. And, I'm taking exception to the race hustlers and the crisis creators, because when you overplay that, then it diminishes its role. So where to me, tyranny is where you as the individual have permanent rights be gone, right? This isn't part of a crisis where you're willing to suspend rights for a period of time. This is, you don't have the right in the first place. It was never yours. And what I'm willing to do is suspend some of my liberties short term to solve a problem that my rights would definitely make it so the problem's unsolvable. And the minute the crisis gets satisfied or solved, then my rights come back to me because they were mine all along. I willingly gave them up because I believe in fixing the crisis. And then as soon as the people that I gave my liberties to, they're like, oh, like my life is easier when he gives up his liberties. I either have two choices: take the liberties away from him permanently, which he'll revolt because he's got his automatic weapons that he can't wait to use, or I could just create crises perpetually and he'll always give up his liberties. So that's where the dividing line is. If number one, a crisis happens, but it's infrequent, I'll give up my liberties every once in a while to quell the crisis. And if you create crises and get me to respond, it's only going to work one time. And now I'm no longer gaining my liberties, even though there is a crisis. And it's not me and my unwillingness. It's your fault for creating more crises than my charity was willing to give to you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to dispel that.
Then it says anything against the left is racist. And
overplayed.
I bet people change once they're on a Diddy or Epstein tape. And
Okay.
Carter says, we are Trumpettes, but not allowed to say Trump derangement syndrome.
Carter, behave yourself.
I mean, he's not wrong. If you're going to call names, then don't be mad if you were called.
So here, Julie, I'll tell you.
Name call.
If you say trumpets, then Carter can say TDS. How about that? If you can stop the insult name calling, and because you're above that, you make much better points than hurling insults.
And to Julie's defense, she didn't really call anybody anything. She didn't call us trumpets. She said we're describing the trumpets, the people in that realm.
So Carter can say
Carter still can't say Julie has Trump.
Okay, you sound a lot like a person that has TDS. He could say that and get away. These are semantics. How about let's just not say those like things that cause contentious, dismissive things.
Don't
say
be like
those.
Tony. Discuss like a grown-up, because this Tony person is not discussing like a grown-up.
Yeah.
He's discussed. So Carter and Julie and we are much better than that. But this is interesting. Julie says, who is attacking the free press? Who is attacking and trying to change what colleges teach? Who is attacking every institution? Who is attacking states and voting rights? Who is attacking the judicial system? Who is attacking the checks and balances of government?
I will tell you. I love this. This is my point.
Yep.
If you hold hostage a boat, right? Now, the people that come on the boat that free the hostages, are they attacking the boat? They're attacking the situation that's on the boat, for sure.
Yeah.
So if the media is captured and we break up the media and remove the control of government influence off of media, we've attacked the status quo. We have not attacked the media. So here's the test. So what's the purpose of a free press?
To get information.
Okay. The ability to disseminate information what's going on. So before social media, there was television networks and newspapers, and there was only limited amount of ways that the public got information. Mm-hmm. So you would then say, if Trump does what he did to the press, are you as a citizen, is there a lack of information? Are you not getting information? Or are you just mad that more information than you like to get out there has gotten out? Because if you break the hostage, then the people that were being held hostage are free, right? Mm-hmm. And that freedom of the hostage taking is what was attacked. And that's why I created that analogy, is when you're saying, when you said that, Julie, I said, you're attacking the status quo of the free press, and you're attacking the status quo of academia. If they were all broken and compromised and captured, when you attack that, you are freeing it so more opinions and more information comes out, not less. If you could say that you don't get information that you used to get, then I'll listen. If you still have access to the Joe Scarboroughs and the what's the glasses lady, Rachel Maddow's, and the Chris Hayeses, if you still get that information, but now there's this other information too, now you're just mad because there's not an authority, somebody that you liked hearing what he was saying. There's other people you don't like what they say.
Yeah. If Julie, you went to a university, or let's say you paid for your child to go to college, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? College campuses will only show Fox News. That's it. And you're only allowed to watch Fox News, and you have to only get information from them, and you have to, all these other things. Are you not going to say, wait a minute, hold up. They're pushing bias here. They're pushing a one-sided narrative here. Like, no, you can't do that. We're going to go and implement some rules on this. We're going to go ahead and make sure that they're not in control of the information and everything. Like, you're going to do something. So again, it's not like, oh, someone's being attacked. It's if somebody is way out of line and pushing a narrative, then yeah, I would want someone to say, wait a minute, are you actually sending truthful information? Or are you pushing narratives out to people?
Yeah, they're still able to do it. So if you had somebody who was pushing out government propaganda, they can still do it today. There's not a single news host.
Shut down anybody?
There's not a single news host that can't go on social media and say whatever it is they want to say.
Yeah. Did he shut down a station? Did he shut down a college? Did he shut down? What else was there? An institution?
He threatened the capture of those institutions.
Voting rights? How are we attacking voting rights in this country?
Gerrymander. They gerrymandered states so that they had racial groups that own certain urban areas. And they're both responsible for gerrymandering. But when you attack, if your side does gerrymandering and this side does gerrymandering, they're both doing it wrong. But when I take, there's 3 states now. I think it was Virginia, Missouri, and Florida, or Texas, and maybe even Florida. I don't know. But they're redrawing it to take seats away from Democrats. So if you had 5 seats, right, and I redrew it, so now you had 4 seats, that would be me attacking your voting rights because I took something you had away from you. And if you go back a previous election and Democrats redrew a state and it took a seat away from Republican, did the Democrats attack voting rights? You'd have to stay consistent if that's the case. If California redraws their district and takes 5 seats away from Republicans, are they attacking voting rights? So stay consistent or don't even bring that shit to me.
Yeah. Julie says, the thing is, I'm not delusional. Carter is. Carter says, she says attacking and I say fixing.
Semantics.
Yeah. His defamation cases might shut down a few news outlets, big and small.
And that I'll listen to that one where you use litigation to be able to put somebody out of business. Like these huge $1 billion lawsuits, that's crazy. Litigation, you have punitive litigation, and then you sort of have monetary rewards, right? I had a loss because of something that you said, so I go figure it out, and I lost $1 million because you said this thing, and now you owe me $1 million to make up and have a just outcome. Totally get that. But when you're allowed to levy punitive confiscations because you did something, so the Dominion one where Fox News paid $800 million because they pushed a story about Dominion, right? Dominion would have to make the case that they lost $800 million from what you said. So sales of their voting machines, trust from there would have to be something that you would use to justify hitting. If I hit you with a number that ensures you go out of business, that was an attack on the free press more than anything else. And when Trump does it, when he goes after, I think it was a $60 million reward for a defamation case, not big enough to put MSNBC, whoever they went after, out of business. If it would have been $1 billion, that would have been absolutely trying to take MSNBC's legs out.
Julie says Trump is trying to eliminate mail-in voting.
100% it should be eliminating mail-in voting. 100%. 100%.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
Do it.
If we eliminate mail-in voting, they're going to say, what about people that can't get to a voting poll? What do? What do they do?
So you make exceptions for exceptional things.
So don't eliminate altogether.
If I
It can
can't
be done in home under certain exceptions.
Yes. So if I want to park in a handicap spot, right, I got to go get a handicap parking placard and I can park in the handicap spot. I had a problem that wasn't normal, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm just too lazy to go vote, is that an exception that necessitates mail-in voting for people that are capable? If I'm receiving welfare benefits and I can work, should I receive welfare benefits? So you can judge whether or not someone has an exceptional circumstance and it be in line with what is reasonable to extend to people. So if you're serving in the military and you would like to vote, and I'm like, oh, well, he can't go or she can't go vote, so I'm going to extend a mail-in vote to someone who literally can't go vote.
Yeah.
For people who can vote, they should go in person. For people who can't vote, you have a small fraction of the people who we allow them to do it. But because of the elevated risk of fraud when it comes to mail-in voting,
I was just going to say,
you're extra suspicious and careful with those votes.
Yeah. If you don't think people are going to claim fraud or attempt fraud, like all those other things you listed, there's fraud. So someone's going to be like, oh, I just don't want to leave my house. I don't want to go. Here's my document saying I can't. I have extreme anxiety and can't leave my house. Or here's my whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you would have to like look into all of those claims.
You make it hard. There has to be a gatekeeper on who gets to vote. So you make a claim. So you can bring your service dog in here for sure. And there's some people who are going to be like, I just like hanging out with my dog. I don't really need a service dog. So they totally milk that system. So the fruit from that, you're extra suspicious. Is this a real person? All right. Yeah, they're milking a system, but is a good vote with a matching signature, and then so be it. But it can't be just anybody feels like it where you have this mass harvesting going on. Because I don't want a dude who looks at voting histories, finds a whole neighborhood that just never votes, right? And they're like, you know what? Since we got these mail-in voters, I'm going to get a stack full of these suckers. I'm going to go to people who legally can vote, and I'm going to add these ones. I'm going to go up to and say, hey, you like it being given money? Yeah, I like being given money. All you got to do is fill out this little form and sign it, and then you can vote, right? I don't want it to be that easy where the guy going down the street could have a ballot and just harvest people who would have voted anyway.
It's interesting that people that are kind of against taking any measures to avoid voter fraud will also cry voter fraud if somebody wins that they didn't care for. I'd love to know what their ideas are. Like, if you don't want to do away with mail-in ballots, if you don't think it's important to show an ID, which I feel like most rational people would know that that's not over the top to ask for. Like, Julie, what are your ideas to avoid voter fraud and compromised elections?
And here's a good test for Julie, too. Let's just say the Republicans are like, all right, well, this mail-in ballot thing, whatever, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all of our billionaire donors, and we're just going to do it bigger and better than the Democrats do. So they do the same thing. They go into areas, and they trick people into filling out a Republican ballot and get them signed up, and they vote. And now Democrats are getting crushed by harvesting of ballots. Would Julie say, well, no, we like the mail-in ballot? Or would you see a problem with people that are taking a non-vote and converting it into something? You don't know those conversations. Follow one of those harvesters around and see what they're really telling people and how they're getting them to vote for you and sign up with you.
Oh, yeah, there's scams everywhere. Why wouldn't there be here?
Anyway, so I'd like to see her response.
Julie says every challenge to mail-in voting has been debunked. Dennis says need some verification of custody. I don't get that one. Patricia says back in the day, in order to use an absentee ballot, you had to be physically out of the area on election day.
Yes. And mail-in ballots, because there were so few, they were only counted if the number of them were in a pile could sway the election. So those were your alternates, right? But now they're so plentiful, and that's why it takes us 97 years to count votes, is because we're using 20,000 different methods in order to do these counts. And if you don't think if we extend the days that we do this, that doesn't allow more fraud to happen. And Julie, I know that the debunkings and the people who really want this voter fraud are laying down cover fire for it. I'm using statistical probabilities. The longer you have something take, the longer that the voter and the ballot casting, the longer time period, mathematically you increase the probability. I'm not saying it's happening either, but it has a higher probability than not doing that thing. So I'll leave it in the terms. You want to deposit a check, right? Mm-hmm. The 0% or close to 0% chance of failure is you take the check, you go to the bank, and you hand it to the teller. Increased probability is if I put the check in a envelope and I sign a note that says, please deposit this, and I put it in the mail. Have we elevated the risk of that check not being deposited greater than 0?
Yeah.
What could happen? It could get lost in the mail, right? Somebody could open it and not be normal, their normal protocol, and it gets lost in a pile of papers. So all of these different variables that get added when you do a different thing, you have to have some kind of things of circumventing the probability and bringing it closer to 0. Then you make it take a long time. You might get delivered in a day. It might take 2 years. It might go on a boat around to China. The longer you make it take, the more things that can happen to that letter as it's making its way to your bank. So you, as the person that wants the check deposited, when the risk goes up, the longer. Here's the thing. You're going to deposit the check, but you don't want to do it directly. You want to give it to 10 people to deposit for you. Say, I want you to play the game of telephone, and I want you to say, hey, deposit this and give it to Bill, and Bill will give it to Charlie, and Charlie. Now, the more people that touch the check to deposit it, have you increased the chances of it getting lost, getting stolen, or not making it to the freaking bank?
Yeah.
All of this stuff mathematically increases the chance that check doesn't get deposited. Now you understand the math when it comes to voting. You can't argue with that.
No. Dennis says every citizen of the world can vote on U.S. elections. That's what she wants.
And that's fine. That if you want to encourage people to leave their house and vote or do it, that's fine. That's what
every citizen of the world can vote on U.S. elections. That's what she wants.
They just want more. They want to be elected. They know they're losing ground because the institution they lost. They need more voters. The same reason they brought in immigrants to be able to vote. They need more votes to be in power so they can do the social medicine, social health, socialized healthcare, all of socialism, all the way to Chi, all the way to communism. I know what you want, and you need more voters that are voting your direction to get it. And just say it, Julie, just say it. You want communism. You want socialized medicine. You want Marxism, and you need more voters. Just freaking say it.
She says there has been very little voter fraud. Court case by the dozens, recounts, etc. have
You just want more voters.
Substantiated it.
You just want more voters. That's all. Julie just wants more voters. Democrats want more voters. They want more seats. They want more say. They want more control. They want to tell you what to do. Period.
We're almost out of time.
We are. But thank you. I was grumpy today. Started out grumpy with the neck stabbing. So don't forget about her. And we've got a special show tomorrow, 9/11, the anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
So I want to point out that we forget things very quickly. And what we're supposed to be carrying with us as promise, we will never forget. We do forget those things. And we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But anyway, have a good day, everybody. Thank you, Kelin.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Thank you for